What are your beliefs about failure? In fact, even as I say that word, fail or failure, or you are a failure, what comes up for you? I'm sure there are evil connotations coming up for you right now. One thing I want to talk about today is how valuable failure is in your life. A couple weeks ago, we were making some food in the kitchen in an evening, and we hear this crazy big crash behind us, and my son has just bounced off the wall, off the corner of the wall. His face is all bruised up. He's already got 2 huge goose eggs on his face, and he's bleeding. And we pick him up and console him a little bit, and we go, what were you doing? What was going on? And after 5 or 10 minutes, when he calms down, he says, I was practicing jumping, running and jumping over like this 3-foot gap. He's 5 years old, with my eyes closed. So what comes up to me, this is what I want to say at that time. I want to say, don't do that. That's not safe. Be careful. My son's got so many stitches in his head. He's trying to look like his dad, I think, or something. We don't know all the time. But you know what? That's the wrong way of thinking. That gut reaction of saying, don't do something unsafe, that's so wrong for my kid. He's 5. He needs to explore the world. What do I want for him? Do I want him to get a safe, secure government job because of the pension? I just wrote a blog post about this. That's not what I want him to do. I want him to explore life. I want him to explore himself, because failure means growth. Without failure, there is no growth. How many times in your life have you been told to do the safe thing? Get a safe, secure job. Don't risk money with that investment. That's a risky investment. The phrase playing with fire. Now, playing with fire can have good uses as well. At the same time, play with fire. Learn about it. Grow in it. Learn to manage all the risk involved. And then when you understand how to manage the risk, you now have this powerful tool at your disposal. It's called fire. It can cook. It can keep you warm. It can do an amazing amount of things. There's a phrase that I often hear from people, and that is, don't do that. You might get hurt. You might get hurt. You might fail. Give me a break. Of course you're going to get hurt. Of course you're going to fail. That's part of life, is growing and failing and getting hurt and learning through the experience. I've always learned, I don't know about you, I've always learned that for myself, I grow 10 times faster when I'm failing than when I'm watching somebody else's failure. In fact, I almost prefer it in some ways. Not in every way, but in some ways I do. The fact is, we take risks every day. You take risks every day. If you have a vehicle, if you drive on the road, you are taking an enormous risk. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere and you walk out in the snow in winter when there's ice on the ground, you're taking a huge risk. You could crack your skull and die. You could die. Every day you could die. And once we realize that's out of the way, yeah, I could die every day, then we can maybe explore life a little bit. Because there's a difference between exploring and living and surviving. And I don't want to survive. I want to live. How about you? The saddest thing I can think of is a person who is so trapped from fear of anything in the world that they just stay in their house. They just stay in their room and they don't risk failing anything. They don't risk failing having somebody give them a look or do something on the road or have a conversation with them. That is sad. Because you know what? Failure means growth. Failure means change. And that's what we're after in this world. Are we not? Is that not what you want? I've heard somebody say very wisely that change is messy, change is difficult, and change is amazing. It's beautiful. What do you want today? What do you want in the next year? What do you want your life to look like for the next decade? I challenge you to fail. Go with me on a quest of failure. Go on the quest of failure games for the rest of the week, for the rest of this year. Make this a year of failure, and you will grow enormously. You won't be able to recognize where you were at when you look back at yourself. Have a fantastic week.